Good morning, everyone. So, this is lesson 2 of class 10, chapter 10, that is light. In this video, we'll learn about the rules for the image formation by concave mirror. So, let's see what the rule 1 says. This is concave mirror, and this is the reflecting surface is known as the aperture. The center of this reflecting surface is known as pole, which is represented by capital P. Now this is principal focus and this is your center of curvature. PC is known as the radius of curvature. So these are the important terms which we'll be using while studying rule 1. If you don't know about these important terms related to spherical mirrors, then you have to watch my previous video of lesson 1 for this chapter. The link of that video is I have given in the description box of this video, so you can go through that and understand about the important terms, right? So let's see what the rule 1 says. Now the rule 1 says if an incident ray is parallel to the principal axis, after reflection it will pass through the principal focus. So as you can see, I have already put the arrows for the incident ray as well as the reflected ray. So we should not forget to put the arrows, because it by this it will distinguish between the reflected and the incident ray. So what the first rule says, if an incident ray is parallel to the principal axis of concave mirror, after reflection it will pass through the principal focus of concave mirror, right? So this is the first rule. Let's move on to the second rule. Second rule is just the opposite of rule 1. If an incident ray is passing through the principal focus, then after reflection it will be parallel to the principal axis. So the second rule says if an incident ray passes through the principal focus of concave mirror after reflection, it will be parallel to the principal axis. So this is the second rule. Now let's move on to the third rule. If an incident ray passes through center of curvature, after reflection it will retrace its path. So this is the third rule. If an incident ray passes through center of curvature of concave mirror, after reflection it will retrace its path. So this is the rule third. Let's see what is rule 4. If an incident ray falling obliquely on the principal axis towards a pole, then after reflection it will pass from the other side of the principal axis, making angle I is equal to angle R. So the fourth rule says An incident ray falling obliquely on the principal axis, after reflection, it will pass from the other side of the principal axis, making angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection. So these all are the four rules for the image formation by the concave mirror. When we'll study about the image formation by concave mirror, we'll be using these four rules, right? Now there is one important thing we need to understand while studying about the rules for the image formation by concave mirror that explain why a ray of light passing through the center of curvature of a concave mirror gets reflected back along the same path. It's an important question. So to understand this, let me draw a concave mirror for you. So as you all know, I suppose this is your concave mirror. This is your concave mirror. And I am putting the dashes on the non-reflecting surface. This is the principal axis. Now this question says, now this is the principal axis and this is aperture, and the center of this is known as pole, and this is your focus, and in this case this is your center of curvature. Alright. So the question is saying that if if an incident ray is passing through the center of curvature, right? I'm just increasing the concave mirror from this side also. So if an incident ray passes through center of curvature, this is the incident ray. After reflection, it will not bend to any other side, but it will start retracing its path again. So why this is so? So in order to understand this, suppose I'm saying I'm drawing another concave mirror for you in order to make you understand. Suppose this is your concave mirror, and as I told you in my video 1 that every spherical mirror is a part of a hollow sphere. So I'm making this hollow sphere for you, and suppose this is a hollow sphere and I'm cutting this hollow sphere from this side. So this is your concave mirror. This one is your concave mirror, right? And this hollow sphere has its own center. And this center of the hollow sphere is actually the center of curvature of this spherical mirror, right? So this we have already done in video 1. Now we are talking about the normal to the spherical mirrors. So as you have done in geometry also, that in case of any point on the circumference, if I am joining any point on the circumference to the center, then this will be perpendicular, right? So this is 90 degree here, or I can take any other point on the circumference. So this point also, if I'm joining this C with this point on this any point on the circumference, this will be a 90 degree. Or take any other point that is 90 degree, right? So this is one way to understand. Now this is concave mirror. And this is concave mirror. Now if I take any point on this concave mirror, let this is the point on the concave mirror, and this is the point of incidence, right? At this point of incidence, the light ray will strike. Fine. So if I want to draw the normal at this point of incidence, then I need to join this with the center of curvature. So this line will be normal to this point of incidence, right? Or in other words, simply I can say, if suppose this is your concave mirror, this is your principal axis, and this is your center of curvature. If I want to take any point of incidence on this spherical mirror, and I'm saying it to you that you have to draw the normal at this point of incidence. Suppose this is your center, this is your normal here, this is your point of incidence where the incident ray will strike from whatever direction, it doesn't matter. But I want to say, I'm just saying it to you that suppose this is the point of incidence, right? And at this point of incidence, you want to draw the normal. Then what you have to do, you just simply join this point with your center of curvature. So this will be your 90 degree, right? So if you remember, suppose this is your plane mirror. This is your plane mirror and this is your point of incidence, right? And in the plane mirror, what usually we do, this is incident ray and this is your reflected ray. And if I say you to draw the normal here, then what I'll do, I just draw the 90 degree angle here, right? So I mean for every point of incidence to measure angle I and angle R, what I need a normal. So every point of incidence on the spherical mirror also needs a normal. Then how to draw the normal? Suppose any point I can take on the concave mirror. Suppose this is your point of incidence, and this is if this is passes, if you want to draw the normal at this point. So simple method is you just can join this point with your center of curvature. So this will be your normal here, right? So this will be equal to 90 degrees, right? So one thing we have learned that if you want to draw any normal at the point of incidence on a spherical mirror, so what you have to do, you just have to join that point of incidence with your center of curvature. So that line will be actually 90 degree at that point of incidence, right? So what actually here, what happens here when the line passes through center of curvature, when the incident ray passes through center of curvature. So this is the similar case when suppose I am saying this is your plane mirror and this is your point of incidence and this is your normal. Now at this normal, now the incident ray is also falling along with the normal itself, right? If the incident ray falling along with the normal, then in that case, what will be the reflected ray? Reflected ray will also retrace its path. Here angle I is equal to angle R, that is equal to 0 degree, right? Because what is angle I? Angle I is the angle between the normal and the incident ray, and the normal is only this, incident ray is also this. So what is angle I? Angle I is 0 degree. Then angle R, as per the laws of reflection, it has to be 0, right? So angle I is also equal to 0, angle R is equal to 0. And to make angle R is equal to 0, what we have to do? This has to retrace its path. So in this case, angle I is equal to angle R, that is 0 degree. So similar case, exactly similar case is here, right? So suppose this is your point of incidence. Let me make another diagram for you, another concave mirror for you, and this is your non-reflecting surface. This is your principal axis, this is C, right? Now at this point of time, now suppose I'll say that this is your point of incidence. This is your point of incidence, and at this point of incidence, if you want to draw the normal, then what you have to do? You will just join this point with C, right? So this is your normal. Now if I say to you that the incident ray is also towards the normal, then in that case what is angle I here? Angle I here is 0 degree. Then angle R should also be 0 degree, right? So angle R will also retrace its path. So this is the similar case as this one, right? I hope you'll be able to understand this, that why it will retrace its path. So simple answer for this is, since incident ray is falling towards a normal, so angle I is equal to 0 degree and angle R has to be equal to 0 degree. So what we can write down in the answer? So this is how you can write down your answer, that on a spherical mirror, a line passing through center of curvature is actually normal at the point of incidence. Thus, an incident ray which is passing through center of curvature is actually falling along the normal, making angle I is equal to 0. Thus, reflected ray has to pass through the same path, making angle I is equal to angle R, right? So I hope this is clear to all of you. Now based on this information, we can see how we can mark angle I and angle R in each of these cases, right? So this is rule 1, where the incident ray is parallel to the principal axis and after reflection it will pass through the principal focus. Then how we can draw the normal here? So this is, as I told you, this is your point of incidence, and if you want to draw the normal at this point of incidence, so what you have to do, you just have to, you can join this point of incidence with C. So this is your normal, and if you have your normal, so this will be your angle I and this will be angle R. In all the rules, angle I is actually equal to angle R, right? As I have told you, in lesson 1 also, that the laws of reflection are valid for each and every point, whether it's a spherical surface, it's an irregular surface, plane surface, smooth surface, shiny surface, whatever surface it be, right? So laws of reflection are valid at each and every point, right? So let's see for rule 2 also. So here also this is your point of incidence, and if I want to draw the normal at this point of incidence, so what I can do, simply I can join this point of incidence with C, right? So this is your normal. Now at this time, now since arrow, this is the incident ray, so this angle will be I and this angle will be R here. Now we can do for third one. Now in the third one, there is angle I and angle R are actually 0 degree, right? So because incident ray is actually falling towards the normal, so this is the normal itself, this is the normal itself, right? So this is the normal itself, right? And the incident ray is passing through the normal, so making angle I is equal to angle R is equal to 0 degree, right? Then what about fourth rule? In the fourth rule, since what is, I have already marked here angle of incidence and angle of reflection. So in this case, this is your point of incidence. Pole itself is the point of incidence. And how to draw the normal? Normal, principal axis is itself a normal. Because at this point of incidence, if I join with this P with C, I'll get center of curvature, this center of curvature, and I'll get radius of curvature itself. So PC, which is the principal axis, is actually the normal for this rule, right? So this is angle I and angle R. So as you have seen in this case, in the rule which is written here, that making angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection. So not only for this case, this is valid for all the rules, right? But specifically why we are writing here that making angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection, because in all the three cases, in whatever direction the incident ray is going, there is one specific point we know, that in which, through which point the reflected ray has to pass, right? Suppose this is the first case. If an incident ray is parallel, the reflected ray will pass through the principal focus, so no need to measure angle I and angle R. Similarly for the second one, if it is passing through principal focus, it will parallel, right? So we actually know the direction in all the three cases. If it will pass through center of curvature, it will retrace its path. But specifically for this case, while drawing this, we need to measure angle I and angle R, because after moving, suppose this is your incident ray, it is falling obliquely. What do you mean by obliquely? Obliquely means making some angle. So when it is falling obliquely, so making some angle, angle R, there is no specific point where it can go. It has to pass on the other side of the principal axis. But what we have to take care for this rule, we need to take the help of the protector, so that angle I must be equal to angle R. Otherwise, in all the three cases also, angle I is equal to angle R. But in all the three cases, we have a specific point where the reflected ray can pass, making angle I is equal to angle R. But in this case, there is no specific point where the reflected ray has to pass. We have to make the angle R equal to angle I, right? So I hope it is clear, and this one is an important question for this, right? So thank you so much. In the next video, that will be lesson 3 of the same chapter, we'll learn about the rules for the convex mirror, right? Thank you so much.